tonight. Welcome to the March Borough Council meeting. We're gonna start off the March Borough Council meeting with public comments related to the agenda. Who would like to be first?
I would.
Yes, Chad, Mr. Public.
Now I remember why I hate the first Monday nights of every month now. So, I apologize for it. I heard over the weekend something about possibly a tax being levied to pay the fire department $20,000 to replace their air tanks. And then I talked to someone else who told me that, no, that's not quite what was going to be thought about, so I'm feeling a little better. But basically, I'm just asking for council to really consider, I don't think that we have the ability to put $40,000 or $20,000 in the fire company at this time. And I really suggest that, last week I saw on the local news, Luzerne County got like $200 million in COVID money. And they are dispersing it out to nonprofits, municipalities, fire companies, ambulance corps, et cetera, et cetera. And they interviewed one fire company that was replacing their air packs with a grant from the county. So I'm suggesting that those avenues be exhausted 100%. And also, we're giving, I found out this week, because when I was last around, I think it was $5,000 we were donating to the fire company. It's now $8,000 a year you're donating to the fire company. Based on the size of the borough, I think that's probably, in my opinion, an adequate amount. And the other thing, Howard, you know how I support the fire company. I mean, you had the problem when I was on council that they wanted to try and have Shawnee being the responsible fire company where they were the first ones on spot instead of you. That should not be the case. This is a water gap fire company, water gap fires, you are responsible. That's it, period. You direct it. But I can't see us putting that money in at this time. And I would suggest you guys look for some other avenues at this time. That's my comment, sir. And I appreciate the way you have your meeting set up, Mr. President. At least you guys get out in a reasonable time.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Really?
No.
Oh, God. Well, there goes the lawyer fees then, right?
Thank you.
That's his setup, though.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
You as well.
Thanks, Walt.
Be safe.
Good to see you.
All right. Anybody else? Public comment agenda.
I think there are a couple of questions that we need to know the answers to before. Well, first of all, on the agenda itself, it doesn't say discussion and motion for the $20,000. It just simply says motion. And I think the questions we need the answers to before this should even be considered by council is, how much money is in the relief fund for the fire department? How much is in their auxiliary fund? How much is in their general account? How much CARES Act money did they get and how much of that is left? And I would like to know what happened with the Pocono Fire Department, because they agreed to sell the air packs, at least 12 to 16 full air packs with 2 to 4 years left on them at a reasonable price, which the fire company could well afford without needing $20,000. Smithfield was also asked for $20,000, and in lieu of giving any monies at all, Lucas DiBartolo helped Howard work down some type of interest rate from 5.984% to 4.85%. So, and I don't know, Jack brought up at the last work session, you know, maybe looking at the contracts and seeing, you know, exactly what they consist of. And my last thing to say is, I don't even know how we could not have discussion and just have motion on the agenda, Because clearly Derek, Jamie, and Zach were not even present at the work session to know what was going on. And I'm sure the three of you didn't meet by yourselves or with a fourth to fill you in, because 4 people with a 7-person board would be a violation of the Sunshine Act yet again.
Anybody else, comment, concern, or issue regarding the agenda, or any item on the agenda?
Unless they got something else to say about the fire department, then I would like to say something else.
Yeah, go right ahead. You wanna talk about what's on the agenda? Go ahead.
Sure. The borough, you all have copies of our financial reports now, correct? That you've gotten?
Yes.
Yeah, all that's on. So you know exactly what's in our accounts. The Relief Association has $12,000 in it, I believe, at this time. That money has deteriorated over the years. We're not getting as much as we used to, and a set of gear, currently, we just paid for a set of gear was $5,000 for one set.
But that was
That's a jacket and pants.
And that wasn't even the set with the full interior.
Jacket and pants, $5,000. So almost half of that is gone. That doesn't include boots, helmet, gloves, hood. So you're around $7,000, maybe $6,000 altogether. All right? So relief isn't cutting it. As far as the air packs, I did talk to Pocono Township, and I've been working with Pocono Township, and it's not 16 air packs, it's 8 to 10 maybe. These are packs that they have used to their extent, and they have a lot more fires than we do. So they have been through the process. I'm working with Mike from Pocono Township. I've set up a time to go look at the packs.
You weren't working
You're
with
interrupting
him.
me.
I
I'm
am
not done.
interrupting
Desiree, let
you.
him speak. and
You-
then
Okay,
you-
sure.
You
have a time.
emailed
Have a-
him,
I did,
right?
because you did
Okay.
it.
I did too.
You can have
You
him,
are
let him
wrong.
speak.
How can you sit there and say that? I did talk to him.
All right,
I
Howard.
have the proof.
After.
You spoke to me.
You can't sit there and say that when you don't know.
I said after.
No, it
I
wasn't
gave,
after. It was.
okay, whatever. Go ahead, Howard, please talk. I love listening to you.
This is ridiculous.
So are you.
That's not gonna be enough. You don't have to be disparaging. You don't need to
You're
make
right,
comments.
you're right.
like
I
that.
apologize.
Okay,
You're
I
absolutely
appreciate it.
right.
Thank you. Go ahead, Howard.
This is ridiculous. We should have the.
But he can
They're
say
not
that.
here.
Both ways, it goes both ways, just address council, don't make comments from the side.
Absolutely.
We have exhausted everything we could with grants. There is no COVID money. We don't get any COVID money. Where would the COVID money come from? The county is using that for them. How they disperse it, I have no idea. Have you guys gotten COVID money?
There's no county grants for the
Right.
fire department.
I don't know what you want us to do. These are your guys. Some of you guys are real volunteers. We're talking about our lives, our loans, our future. We've done everything we can to try and get this grant for PACS, including doing it again this year and trying to get it pre-approved, which there's no guarantee for any of it. We use grant writers. I don't know what else to do. We're asking for help. We need the air packs. Will I continue with Pocono Township to talk to them? Yes. 8 to 10 maybe. All right, I have to go look at them and see what kind of shape they're in, and then how much they want for them. And that will be from Relief, not Fire Department, Relief Association to Relief Association. That's how it has to be done.
So we don't have any idea yet what they'd want for those.
No idea, and what kind of shape they're in.
Is there much
But they're
time?
not gonna use them. They'll let people use them to go to class with. So what kind of
They're
shape
getting
are
rid
they?
of them. And we're raising our firefighters.
They
We're
replace
them
them.
to save their lives in environments where they can't breathe. So even if anything less than perfect, pristine condition is not good enough. But, thank you. All right, anybody else have a comment, question, concern about the agenda?
If they have 8, if they have 8 of the used ones from Pocono, and they have 4 more years left on them. Why don't you just go after 8 brand new ones right now? And use the other 8. That way, the loan that you're trying to get with the grant, that you didn't get the grant for, the loan would be half of the money that you would have needed to buy 16. And then you wouldn't need the 20,000 from the gap.
We have $12,000 in the relief fund.
Yeah,
That's
but-
where the money
see,
comes
you
from to
weren't
buy
here.
equipment.
You were not here at the work session.
Understood.
He said that they were trying to get down money enough down payment so that it wasn't gonna be such a high payment
Right,
annually.
correct.
If you cut it in half, that's
You need
65,000,
less.
right?
And then where do we go in 2 years or 4 years? If this equipment is either, one, it's not compatible, 2, even if it's in perfect condition, if it's in perfect condition, why would they be getting rid of it? Why are they trying to get new? If it's 4 years left on something less than perfect condition, why are they getting rid of it? You want us to use someone else's refuse, someone else's garbage?
Until you can get the other 8 in 4 years.
How do you send somebody into a burning building with something less than perfect condition?
They would
How
still
do
be
you- How do
using
you
them.
say, look, you're not getting paid, you're a volunteer, please, come do this for us, save someone trapped in a burning building, here's somebody else's garbage to use, go in there. How do you do
So
that?
Pocono would wanna hear you call their stuff
They're throwing
garbage.
it away, they're getting
not
rid of
throwing
it,
it
they
away.
got brand new equipment.
Right, and they were gonna sell it.
Because they got the grant.
How many years did they use that equipment?
It doesn't really matter how many years.
Well, no,
They
you
go
say
for
it has to
15
be
years.
15
It really doesn't.
If you say it has to be.
I understand
15,
what you're
then
saying,
maybe
your
you
comments
can
noted, and I'm trying to, I'm honestly trying to refrain, but I'm one of the firefighters that you're asking to go into buildings with used equipment that we don't know what condition it's in, what its safety quality is, and I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it, and it's a shame that, you know, we're in a situation where we need this help. We can't do this without the money, and we're not gonna be able to get the money, but, all right, Desiree, your second comment, go ahead.
So it's not like Pocono just decided to throw them out and not use them. The reason that they have them are because they did get the grant to get all new ones. So had they not gotten the grant, they too would continue to use those until they found an alternative. So I think the alternative of buying 8 and getting 10 or 12 from them for about $4,000, because I believe they're gonna sell them for between $250 and $300 apiece, is a viable alternative to raising taxes.
Nobody's
Because
considering raising taxes. There's not
How-
been
how
one
would you
no-
get-
There's not been one mention of raising taxes whatsoever here by anyone in Borough Council.
Where
So
would-
the raising of the taxes
Again,
was something
now you're
somebody
gonna
said
raise
to
your
scare
voice.
people, I don't know.
You
Nobody
weren't
in
here
Borough
at
You
the
Council
weren't
said
here at the
anything
work
about
session,
raising-
Jamie,
We don't make
yes.
any determinations about raising taxes.
Okay,
in the work
but
session.
that, Jamie, that was the
Got it.
discussion, was to raise the taxes, you can ask Bill.
You can ask
And then
Lisa, they
Jack,
were here.
and Jack's thing was to go over the contract. I don't think anything should be voted on tonight. I think it should go to the next work session to see what else is available, how much Pocono is selling them for, what fundraisers can be done. There's one firefighter, 2, counting yourself in the gap, that's actually a homeowner that pays taxes.
So the-
okay.
So the rest are discounted because
I'm
they
not
don't live
saying
here?
that they're discounted, I'm just saying.
They're not worth as much?
No,
I
I'm
don't understand
saying
the point
that-
of your comment.
That it's very easy for someone to raise taxes when it's not on
No
themselves.
one's talking about raising taxes, but understood. Anybody else with a comment, a question, or concern?
It was raised at the work session, which you were not here, which you really should have nothing to say about this.
And you should recuse yourself
In the
because it
vote.
is a conflict of
Yes.
interest.
Conflict of interest is when he receives personal gain for something. It's
He's
not
running for
something
mayor.
He's running for office,
It's personal gain.
so then nothing will
So
be on his
anybody who's
website.
running for office, when anyone's on the ballot to rerun for council, they can't vote on something because they're running for office?
No, because he's part of the fire department.
It's not a personal gain to him. It's a volunteer position.
Uh-huh.
Tim voted on every Cherry Valley Road project thing. He lives on Cherry Valley Road. Should he have recused himself from that? That's the parallel.
Well, I'm looking ahead to how
And you don't
this
live in
is gonna
Warrior.
be used.
Exactly. he lives in Water Gap, so should he not be voting on anything if he lives here?
And just to give you some clarity on fundraising, we do a lot of fundraising. We have booth drives all the time, and maybe if you're not aware, the road is closed over here. So that kind of severely hampers our ability to raise money to sustain our fire company. And we do so with our fundraising and with money that we receive from the borough and we receive from from Smithfield.
But that's one fundraiser. You can do other fundraisers, tricky trays, GoFundMe things. Nothing, none of this has been explored.
Understood. It's easy to sit and point fingers and tell other people. to do
I'm not
stuff.
pointing
There are a
fingers,
lot
I'm
of people
trying,
that
I was
volunteer
the
a
one
lot
who
of
went
their
to
time,
Pocono
a
to
lot of
help
their
you.
time. Yeah, Mike.
I got something real quick. You saying about fundraisers. We do a lot of fundraisers throughout the year, and like anything else, nothing's free. It costs money to make money. So all these fundraisers that we do, a lot of stuff, yes, is donated, but a lot of stuff still comes out of the accounts. And the next thing I have is you guys want to see our accounts and see our money. Is there any way we can see the borough money and see what accounts and where the money, all this
Yes,
money
you
guys
The
have?
answer is yes.
So I would like
It's
to see
public,
that.
and may I tell
Of
you
course it
why
is.
we asked? I will tell you. Because when Howard came here with this proposition, he didn't say anything about using any fire company money, zero. And then the question was asked, how much do you have? And it came out, it was like $102,000 plus the relief fund, plus the auxiliary fund. And I get that maybe not all of that money can be used for that. We're not against the safety of the firefighters, which is probably what you've been told. What we are against is not exploring every single avenue that we can. Even a GoFundMe page, you'd probably raise 20 grand in less than a week
But
with
the
that.
thing is, this has been going on for a couple years now. We've been exploring other options, and obviously we wouldn't be asking for this money if we didn't explore these options already. And like, you have to understand, at some point, something's gonna break down. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, it's gonna be an air pack, and it's gonna be something on a department where, do you wanna be a part of the solution of where you're helping us? Or when something goes wrong, saying, well, we didn't give them anything, this is why, and just be like that.
But we're saying you should get 8 brand new ones, and then the 12 that Pocono has, that have 2 to 4 years left.
We don't know how many Pocono actually has. Once he goes to look and see what we have, we can
Well,
explore
I don't know
that
how I
option.
know and you don't know.
What do you know?
Have you seen this?
Okay.
Pat?
Well, I'm
Wait,
assuming
guys.
you know everything, because apparently
That's
we
enough.
don't
That's
know
it. All right,
anything.
that's fine, that's fine. Do we have any other questions, comments, concerns about anything on the agenda?
Mr. I go way back with the fire company, not the present group, but it's not a group, and we certainly want to be back to Willard and Brian Martin, of course, Rick Snow. I get choked up about Rick Snow, but I've known him for so long. But it's not about the safety. I hope not. It's not about the safety of these guys. But it's about maybe upfront with what we have in the borough, like the gentleman said. Let's see what we have there. If the taxes, let's see what other avenues we can
I'll
consider.
take a look at it
If we
right
do-
now.
if
I'll
we
read
do
it to
all
you
that.
right now, because I think I have the
Okay.
finance reports. I think according to the treasurer's report, we have about $470,000 in our accounts with the borough.
We have 470,000, but it is not money, free money just sitting.
Nobody's
there.
saying anything about free money. You're asking what we have,
But you speak
that's
of it as
that's
if
what we
it's
have.
extra
We
money.
have $470,000,
We have an entire budget.
and our
Okay.
budget is, I think, $300,000. So we're okay on the budget.
Okay, but-
You asked the question, I answered your question. Marty, go ahead.
Excuse me,
So that accurate that the borough has-
Wait, Marty.
you cannot represent our budget with numbers like that
I'm-
without
you-
looking
you
at our
asked how much money we have on
liabilities.
hand.
Without looking at our
That's how much we have on
liabilities
hand.
and
What do we have?
a water leaks that is taking extra money that you
Understood.
have unknowns. You don't represent the budget with how much money you have in your pocket.
He asked how much we have on hand. We have on hand $469,026.92.
Just a detail,
That's it.
there's a detail I'd like to bring up. At the
Yes.
last meeting, we did discuss the fire tax.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
we have a budget
You weren't
with
here.
the general accounts. We also have a budget that includes police and fire. And that budget may be changed or not changed for whatever. But
I don't think we have fire in the budget.
We have police.
We have fire tax.
You have
The
fire
tax.
tax.
Right, but
And
we
the
don't have
fire
a
tax, and the
specific
fire
item in the
tax
budget.
is where any additional money that is going to be doled out by the council would go through the fire tax, would go through that.
Understood.
So, just, it isn't the general account, you're quoting 400,000 or whatever.
That's what we have on hand.
That's the general account, and this
Well,
month,
it's not all the- some is in a savings
just
account.
Just this month for water, we had to put out $22,000 just to stand still. So, quoting those figures is not representing the fact that money is already spoken for.
I'm not saying it's not spoken for, I'm not saying there's not a budget, all I'm saying is the gentleman asked how much money we have on hand, and that's how much money we have on hand.
And I
He
was-
wanted to know, I told him, that's all.
And I was just correcting something that had been stated, that we didn't discuss the fire tax at the last meeting, and we did.
Okay, we discussed the fire tax.
Thank you.
If I could say something a second, at the last work session, I suggested to Howard that we have a meeting with our finance committee, who has to look out for the borough and any problems that come up, including water leaks or what have you. I also said there's no one sitting up here that doesn't wanna help the fire company have the proper equipment and the safe equipment to do their job as volunteers. So logically speaking, I said, can we get the terms of the loan that you'd have to get? Let's say hypothetically, we had 20,000 in Smithfield, that's 40,000. You need 127,000 and change. What is the balance of the loan? What's the interest rate? Is there a prepayment penalty? When is it due? Do you make the first payment free? These are the questions and the facts that we need as a finance committee and a council to make intelligent decisions to come out with the best way to help subsidize this equipment. There's nobody up here that doesn't wanna do that. But what we need to do, I have to respect the finance committee. This whole council works through committees. It shouldn't be coming to a council meeting and then everybody says, we need to do this, we need to do that, we all have special interests. The finance committee has to look at the whole picture, including the fire company and the police and the water leaks and all the other stuff. If we had a finance committee, Jamie, you were there, I would be there, Howard, you and your treasurer, Jim Ferrara, I said, can you bring Jim in?
We're working on it.
Okay.
I have your answers,
Okay,
but
okay, so
I
if we
can tell
had
you why
that,
I'm here.
if we had that meeting, okay, we could come up with the answers that we need. We might be able to find some money in the budget now. If not, maybe we could promise a promissory note that as of January or a new budget, we could give X amount of dollars. But we can't make those kind of statements until we see the whole picture and have all the facts.
And I talked to the finance guy and and gave me my answers for that.
Okay, but you see
The
what I'm
only problem
saying?
is
And they were
we have
promising
an
though.
emergent situation,
Okay,
we
but-
have months left on these air
Okay,
packs.
but let me explain, okay, you have months,
So
can
it's an
I make a
emergency.
statement on what
Yes.
just been said?
Yes.
Okay, you have months left on this air pack. We all support the fire department. We all support that. But here's the problem. This gentleman said that this has been going on for 2 years. We just went through a budgetary session from October to January of this year, past year, and no one mentioned these air packs. And you have a few more months left on these air packs. And in October, I canvassed everyone and asked that you bring forth anything that was needed. And we set our budget, and we set our we did not increase our taxes, we set our tax base to support what we have, our input is supporting our output in the borough. And it did not account for an extra $20,000 for an emergency of this particular nature. It was not mentioned, it was not brought to us. We did not set up any extra means to collect that extra $20,000 that would be needed for these air packs. So your emergency that comes up right now does not, that means that we can instantly just make up money with everyone that walks in the door and says, I have an emergency right now, this moment. That is not how it works. Now, I was very encouraged in our last work session by the input and commitment, not only by the council members, but by the community to try and find a resolution to help alleviate this problem. And there were a lot of wonderful suggestions made from the council and from the community. And then on top of that, the community members went out and spoke and found these air packs that were going to be sold on municipal bid. Because one of the suggestions that was made by a number of us was, let's find a larger municipality that has more money, that that turns over their equipment in a quicker fashion, because they get money and they don't have to use this anymore, they get new ones. This has come, and so they found them. They brought the information. I forwarded all the information to the council members and to you about this information about the air packs. One of the things that was talked about was staggering your air packs. All your air packs are going bad at one time. The idea of getting these air packs that are available and then possibly getting the new ones that will have another expiration date makes a lot more sense. Not only that, you indicated that you have a grant application that you might possibly get at the end of the year that would get the newer air packs. If that did not happen, the fact that you have to buy half of the air packs that you initially thought you were gonna have to buy new, you will have to put either less down or nothing down, because your loan application information that you provided us indicated that you could actually put nothing down and get these air packs. You still have the opportunity, if the grant doesn't come through, with the other air packs to supplement it, to go ahead and get that loan and get the new air packs. And you would then have the lower loan payment that you were saying, our $20,000 would help you get. So I was so encouraged that so many different options were worked on between the council and the community. But what we're seeing here is an all or nothing approach. We want you to give us exactly what we asked for. We understand the urgency and we understand the importance of these air packs. But what you're coming to us is it has to be this way, or you don't care for us, or you don't care for our lives. And that is really unfair, because we do. We do care for your lives. We do care for the fire department. But we are also responsible for the entire borough. And if we come in with the all or nothing approach to your situation, and tomorrow it's another critical emergency within the borough, we only have so many resources. And no one came to us last year, the year before, or ever to talk about these air packs.
That is not true.
So let me ask you a question. I saw the information you sent over, and I think someone described it, maybe it was Borough Township, the equipment as in decent condition. I just wanna ask you,
I did not try to,
is decent condition good enough for our firefighters?
Those
If they were
air,
putting it up for sale, do you think they would sell to another fire company and put them in danger if it wasn't?
I think that they wouldn't consider it that way. I think that
No.
they would
No.
put it out for sale,
No.
because they're looking to make money.
No.
You think they
All
put
I'm
that
saying
at
is,
risk of another
I-
fire company?
No.
We're getting way ahead of it.
I don't think so.
But you think you get it on wood?
We wouldn't sell anything, we don't have anything to sell.
Hold on.
That's
I
my question.
volunteered to come.
I have been,
And I got denied.
Can we get back on
Yeah,
track?
we completely gone off on whatever
This is
the
new
ballot
business.
agendas work,
We
we
can talk
have
about it some
nowhere.
You're absolutely,
I don't wanna not talk about it anymore, I wanna.
we're
I
talking
got
about
something to
that.
say.
No, that's okay.
No, I have something to say, we're just gonna go. This is ridiculous. I have been coming here for 4 years. No, I did not say it was an emergency. I did not, and I did not ask for money, because we have been trying to get this on the grant, trying to save money for everybody. That's what we've been trying to do. These air packs are used. They're 12 years old, maybe 3 years left. You can shake your heads, you can do whatever you want. Would you wear a used air pack into a building? Would you wear a used air pack into it? It's a simple
Would I wear
question.
one that isn't certified?
Right.
Probably not. If I
Okay.
could wear one that says 3
So
on
first
it
off-
and nothing,
First off, we have to go look at them, see if they're in decent shape.
What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for them to call me so I can go look at them. We work, I work, they work. Tom Gallagher, the guy I'm supposed to talk to, works. We all work. We're volunteer. I have a job. We're trying to set this up to look at the packs. There's no guarantee. Let's see what kind of shape they're in. See if the cylinders are good. How long will it last? All right, that's a Band-Aid on our problem. We did talk about maybe putting the money down next year, you mentioned. And I got all that information. But then there's a mass text set out to Borough residents, and I throw over here to show support for me, and I'm not getting beat up on. There's a mass message that's sent out to homeowners here about the fire company and how, I'm not gonna read it, but.
No, why don't you read it?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, I wanna know what it says.
You know what it said.
How do I know what it says?
You guys are on it.
I'm not on it. I have no idea what you're talking
I know one
about.
person is. Please come out and let your voice be heard. The fire department is looking for us, Borough residents, to give them $20,000 when they have money in their own account. Plus, there's another option. Pocono Township has some they are getting rid of. That can be used until the fire department raises enough money to put down payment on the air packs themselves. If the borough votes to give them this money, the emergency tax will most definitely go up. Now, you talked about it going up and then putting it back down. So not all the facts were given. There's more.
Well, taxes never go down.
None of us are against helping the fire department, but it sure sounds like it. But they know these are air packs are expired and going bad for the past 3 years, and spent money on wrapping a fire truck. A fire truck that really didn't need to be done right away. I'm not sure the cost of that, but I heard somewhere around $6,000 to $8,000. All I can say is show up and voice your opinion. More will come out in the meeting, I am sure. Thank you. That's the message that was sent out to about 15 people, I understand, something like that.
That was not sent by the council, and what we are
Well,
dealing with here
so,
is
but all
the
the facts I
council looking at.
The wrapping of the truck is a safety issue for one. We spent $8,000 on that, and we raised that money ourselves. Through coin tosses, through fundraisers. We raised that money for pride in our department, pride in Delaware Water Gap. I mean, we're gonna look at these packs and see, and these packs just went out. They haven't been going out. 3 years, the cylinders are done. Nobody knew Survivor was gonna sell and become Honeywell, and the parts are no longer available. Can't predict that. This is our life safety. Those packs are a Band-Aid. We will need to purchase new packs. Hopefully with your support. Yes, Smithfield did say they didn't have it this year as well. Understandable. I'm going back next month, and I'm gonna ask for it in the budget for next year. I'm not giving up. I won't stop. I can't stop for these guys. And the rest of them. I will be there. And you wanna set up a meeting with Jim and that's fine, we will.
Yeah, I would just like to get all the facts on the table and work out the best viable solution to solve your problem and try not to have to raise taxes. That's my goal.
I understand.
Okay.
And I found out from Trish here about Pocono Township at the last meeting. And I have talked to them. I talked to their chief, who said that Desiree was emailing him and asked why.
Howard, let me.
And he had the air
I
pack
spoke to
officers,
him.
they have different procedures up there.
Did you say, not to interrupt, did you say Smithfield doesn't have any money this year?
Not this year. So I'm going to them again and asking for it to be put in the budget for next year. We can put that money down after, and it will come off the principal, or the payment will go lower.
But it's the
Like
same
we discussed.
situation for each municipality, Howard. You
I
have to
understand. I
understand,
do
we have to
understand.
budget, we
I'm not
don't
fighting that.
make money, we have to budget for the money.
fighting is we
And
need
then the
help.
residents we have to have revenue that comes in.
I understand that. But you act like we have $100,000 just sitting there.
Well,
We have vehicle insurance we pay. We have medical insurance on other policies that we pay. We have fuel for the trucks, which is going through the roof. We have natural gas for the building that we
what
pay.
you're stating is the same thing that I was stating when this gentleman said we had
I
$400,000.
understand that.
We have bills too.
Yeah, pretty bad.
We all have bills.
How much was Smithfield going to give you when they put it in the budget, did they say?
I have to go back and ask them for it. That would be 20,000 if I ask for 20.
But
I
we have,
did talk to Jacob already.
based on the air packs that you have now, how long do you feel you could still use them?
Can't. maybe 3 more months.
That's what I'm trying to
Maybe
get,
6.
what is it, 3 months, 3 to 6 months?
Yeah.
How are they recharged? At the scene or at the?
We have a filling station at our firehouse. So we can fill
Howard, you mentioned if you went to somebody else's fire though, they couldn't fill your bottles.
them. They won't fill them for liability.
What?
They would not fill them for liability.
They're out of date.
Would you fill an out-of-date cylinder?
I'm just telling you, you're saying you have 3 months left on them, in fact.
We can fill them at our station.
So
We have to use them. Barrett used theirs for a year. We have to use them. What are we gonna do?
Use the
Show up
Band-Aid.
to your house and you're stuck inside and not
No.
wearing, just stand outside and wait?
Just use the Band-Aid.
Wait for 15 minutes for another,
You roll
20
the
minutes for
dice,
another
like I
department to
said
come?
before.
If they show up,
But if someone gets hurt and liability.
so you're gonna wait 5
insurance
minutes in a
won't pay
burning house,
at this
2,500 degrees.
Because we're
For
not supposed to
someone
be
to show
using
up.
them for a
They're
reason.
here at the same time.
No, they're not.
I've seen them.
No, they're not.
Alright,
Okay, that's
thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
Anything else on this, since we're on this topic, and then we'll talk about the rest of the agenda? Anybody else on this? Okay, any other comments, concerns, questions, issues about anything else on the agenda? No, okay. Alright, so we'll move on to the agenda. Treasurer's report. Approval of the treasurer's report, including accounts payable.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. President, to approve the treasurer's report and include accounts payable, please.
Jack makes the motion, Lisa seconds the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I have a question. This Dixie Welding Company, this is an estimate for what? What are we buying, 14 of something? What-
It's ours. Chris is gonna talk about that later. It's just an
Okay,
estimate.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Lisa.
I did.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, treasurer's report is approved. Now approval of the minute meetings for the February sixth, 2023 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion.
Terry makes the motion. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Derek seconds the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion, all those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alright, superintendent's report, Chris, you're here.
Good evening. Okay, so, this past month, we had no PA1 calls. We had 2 water main breaks on Waring Drive. It's the improper pipe underground. It's Schedule 40, it's not meant to be buried underground. So my recommendation, I'm sure yours will be too, that it needs to be replaced eventually. So something to maybe budget in the future. For safety concerns, the ADA ramp at the bridge on Main Street, right by the community place, I did the repair there. She checked it out, Missy checked it out. Okay, Missy checked it out and approved the actual ramp repair. It's just a cheek wall. I wrote knee wall, sorry, it's a cheek wall. The cheek wall has to be repoured. It was never poured properly to plan in the first place. I just laid it down so it's not a trip hazard. So I'm gonna take care of that. I followed up with her about, I can form it myself and do it. It's not PennDOT or anything else, so I'll follow up on that. The yield sign for Walnut Lane, I did pick that up. Just waiting for a nice day and I'll dig the hole and install it. Maintenance addressed, replace stop sign, post or both twice at Main Street and Waring Drive due to tractor trailer damage. I had to order and replace the Delaware Ave sign also due to tractor trailer damage. The post was actually ripped out of the ground. I salvaged the post, I couldn't salvage the sign, it was a manual. So I did have a pretty good day. I dug down 4 feet and actually concreted the post down inside. So next time a tractor trailer hits it, hopefully it'll take a couple of those tires. So I finished grading off the grounds of Well House 6. I seeded and strawed it. any disturbed areas. I still have minor cleanup there, you know, some leaves, twigs, and some brush to clean up. Cut down trees and clear debris around Borough as needed. I started clearing the area at Buzzard Park. I'm sure you guys live here, you know there's a bunch of deadfall there for years, a bunch of cut up wood there that's been sitting there for years. So I started cleaning that up. I took down 5 trees so far, and there's a few more dead ones that need to come down. I'll handle anything I can, anything out of my realm, safety wise or whatnot. We'll have to get an estimate for a company to come in. So cut down 5 trees. And then of course clear roads of snow, ice, and debris as needed. Possibly tonight, we'll see. Now, the machine, the backhoe, it has 2 known leaks, and the one is really bad. It's leaving a trail now when I'm driving down the road, so they've progressively gotten worse with use. So I stopped any major projects until this can be resolved, whether it's voted on. I did get an estimate for the repairs, and I'll explain that next. I didn't want to use the machine anymore heavily to clear brush or anything like that, because I still might need it to load salt in the truck. So right now it's on light duty. So that brings us to the estimate. I received this estimate, it's for $2,700. There's 2 cylinders on the machine that are leaking. It's one for the boom cylinder and one for the stick cylinder, so it's the main 2 cylinders for the backhoe. Right, you have a smaller one for the curl. Initially, when I call around, nobody can touch this thing until after May. That's how booked they are. Plus, the machine would have to be trailered out or a service truck brought out, and it would be anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000. I can do the work to remove the cylinders myself, okay? And I can bring them to the gentleman, and it's maybe a 1 to 2 week turnaround then. With that said, the estimate for that is $2,700 in comparison. So
I remind everybody that this was a known issue with the backhoe that we discussed when we purchased it from Craig. He said the one cylinder had a slow leak and we need to get that addressed.
I have a question. So Chris, that's you sending them the cylinder?
that's me removing the cylinders downstairs in the garage, and then putting them into the white pickup and delivering them to the place to have them repaired at their shop. They have all the equipment.
They repaired, you have to go back down.
Yes, and receive it and install it.
And do you have any issues with removing it and installing and reinstalling it?
Do I? No, I've worked on heavy machinery and everything else, so I have no issue. The only thing I ask is that someone else be present with me. Never, while I'm doing it, because just, it is some safety concern. They weigh between 600 and 1,200 pounds.
Chris, is this the mechanic that Craig had given us?
Yes, yes it is.
Okay, I just wanna remind everybody on council, this is who Craig used for his heavy equipment all through the years, in servicing different water companies in township.
This outfit?
This outfit is, so based on that, I would recommend that we would go with this company, because I can't see how we would find the work done with a more reputable company.
I'll be honest with you, I've called around, nobody can touch it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, they just don't have the time. They're working on major projects on so many machines, and they're booked. And I basically almost had to beg, you know what I mean, and say, if I bring these to you, can you repair them then? And he agreed to it. So, that's all I have. Any questions or concerns?
Deb just said that we can make the motion now.
It is on the agenda, we're just doing it now.
So I'll move to authorize repair to the New Holland tractor hydraulic cylinders at Dixie drivetrain, welding and mechanical.
I'll second.
For the amount of $2,712.
Or less. You can figure 27, so I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll second.
Alright, so Zach makes the motion and Jack seconds the motion. Any further discussion? Anybody else on council?
I would just like to say the backhoe has served us very well. For the residents, if you haven't been up by Well House 6, where Chris cleared all that up and the trees around there and so forth, we got a real good price on the backhoe from Craig, our water operator. Very difficult to find good used backhoes, as opposed to buying a new one for $150,000. So I think we're way ahead of the game, and I thank you for the work you've done with that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank
Anybody
you.
else on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, motion carries. Alright, anything else, Chris?
That's it, that's all I got.
Alright, so what do we have to do now? We have to, we pay for upfront, or what happens with this?
I will get with Allison with that.
Are they
since
gonna
you
do
guys
the work
approved
without a
it.
check? Is what I'm-
They probably invoice us, I would guess. So they probably invoice us.
Yes, that's how I would figure, but I'll have a better answer for you. I mean, I just wanted to see if
Okay.
the approval would be made and then I can move forward.
Alright. Thank you, Chris. Next is, mayor's reports, then we got police report, fire department report. Howard, would you like to give a fire department report?
Good evening. Delaware Water Gap Fire Department responded to 10 calls for the month of February. 3 of them were medical, and 7 were fire MVAs. We are again applying for the AFG grant for the air packs, with pre-approval hopefully. The LSA grant, we have applied for the second phase. We did get the engineering incorporated into the first phase. So
That's for the building?
Yes, for the building. So the engineering is approved to be paid for through the first phase. And we will be, getting a contract signed in the next week or 2 to get the drawings done.
What was that, about 5,000, roughly?
13.
13,000. Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. Wanna go right into your, emergency management report?
No report.
Alright, engineer report.
I just have a couple things. The first is that the borough has a couple grants in, and I understand that the next CFA meeting is March 16th. So hopefully those grants are on the agenda, and we can hear, some type of result. And then the other, was the water line project. We completed survey, and we're working on the easements. So we should be able to wrap that up pretty quickly.
And pretty quickly is how long?
I'm hoping within the next week or 2.
Okay, but certainly by the next meeting it'll be done.
So easements wrapped up by the next week?
Yeah.
That, and then move forward from there?
Yes.
Jamie, if I could, the 2 that we have that are in there now, if the borough's fortunate enough to get the grants, the borough would be responsible for, close to 50,000. And the second one would be 88,235. Now, obviously, it's pennies on the dollar, and it would be well worth it for us to do that. But I just point that out. If you look at the back sheet on the engineer's report, you'll see that. So we may have responsibilities there, if in fact we're lucky enough to get the grant.
Alright, the only other thing I wanted to ask you about was, we discussed it, the stormwater management
Yeah.
ordinance. Is our stormwater management ordinance, is it up to
It is.
whatever Act 176?
It is not, it is not, and I've reviewed Act 167, pretty thoroughly, so what I can do is, I can give you an outline of what changes need to be made, and then you can move forward.
Do we have any time constraints, does it have to be done in a certain period of time?
I don't remember the specific date, but I believe we have a few months. Yeah, I mean, it's not next, it's not within the next 2 months, you have a while. I don't remember what it is exactly.
Okay. So you'll just send over some,
Yeah, I can
guidelines
get
or
an outline together, yep, and then you can see where the changes are going to be made.
Perfect.
Okay.
Will we get that by the work session by any chance, 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks?
Actually, the work session's next week. Is it 2 weeks or?
What date is that? March
Generally third
15th.
Monday. or third
No,
Wednesday.
that's in a week, week and a half.
It's next
First.
It's next week, yes.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Not first.
If you
I
can,
don't
if you
think I
can't.
could do it by then, I will try, but I will.
If you can, you can. If you
Okay.
can't, it's not the
All
end
right.
of the world.
May 2nd, 2023, you have to adopt the municipal ordinance for the stormwater management.
Oh,
Yeah, it was quicker than.
So it has has to be, so we have to discuss it before and put it on the April agenda.
So I will make a point to get an outline to you by the work session.
Okay.
So you have that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
If you
Allison.
look at it, do we have a lot of work to comply, or?
I don't think so. I
Some of
mean,
the
you're,
things change,
you're,
like buffer
you're,
zones.
yeah, there's some,
Okay.
and a lot of that, like for instance, if you look at like a Smithfield or a Pocono ordinance, one of their buffers was 50 feet. Now it's 150 feet. So there's some questions about the changes and if they really need to be made, you know, certain changes. So I'm interested to see how that goes. You're welcome.
Anything else?
Allison, what was that date, May?
May 2nd.
Second. Five two.
Okay.
Is that it, Missy?
I don't have anything else. That's it.
Anybody, any questions, anything?
Yeah, just so we know, May 2nd is a Tuesday, May 1st is a Monday.
That's our meeting.
Okay. So we wouldn't have a meeting on May 1st, so
So
we don't have to do
we
it,
can
we have a
also-
little, just saying we have a little bit of room, we could do it at the May meeting and it still would be by May 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Deb's telling you not to rush.
I
So
still
that
have
we, I
to
mean, if
rush.
we have to do an ordinance, we still have to advertise and do all
Yeah,
sorts of
no,
things,
I
there's
will
still a
get-
lot of work to be done,
I'll
but
get
I'm
the
just.
outline done for your work session.
Thank
So
you.
you have that.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mike Manter, I think he's out of the country, he's away, I don't see him out there.
There was, just so council's aware, there was a enforcement hearing scheduled in front of, Judge Germano, that was originally scheduled for the 13th, which was a Monday, and I was unable to make it next Monday. And it's been rescheduled to April 14th, does that sound correct, Allison? It's a
Yes.
Friday.
At 11 a.m.
And you'll be going
I'll go
with
with
Mike
Mike.
Manter?
Yep.
All right, you wanna add anything to that, to solicitor report, or you wanna make that? That's it? All right, on to new business. All right, first item on new business is motion to give the Delaware Water Gap Fire Department $20,000 to use as a down payment on the purchase of new SCBA equipment. And I'm gonna make that motion. I will make the motion to give them the $20,000 to use it as a down payment on the purchase of new SCBA equipment. And I'll look for a second. If there's no second, then the motion will die. No, motion will fail. So, would anybody second that motion? All right, hearing no seconds, motion fails. All right, next item on the agenda is discuss motion to change our stormwater management, and we discussed that, and we're gonna work on making a motion, so this will be tabled to the next session. All right, now, we've already made the motion to authorize repair to the new Holland tractor hydraulic cylinders. And that was done. All right, that ends new business. Old business, discuss move park permits and rules. Lisa, would you like to take over on that?
Yes, in our wonderful work session that we had, that you missed, we did a lot of discussion and went through the park rules that we already had existing and adapted the same rules for the William M. Buzzard Celebration Park. We also, reviewed the proposed special events rules and application form for use of the park. We've gone through it line by line with everyone that was present, including the public that had their input. They had input, council had input. I made the changes according to what everyone's suggestions were. And this is the form that we have created. I'd like to make a motion to adapt these rules and alter and provide an ordinance that alters our current ordinance to include these rules. Does that make any sense?
It was a.
We already have
You want a motion?
We have a resolution that has the rules for
Yes.
the Shoal Park.
Right.
Yes.
Are they, and they're the same?
Same rules.
So then it would just be amending that
Amending.
resolution or whatever to apply to this park as well.
Correct,
So
thank you.
A motion to amend the resolution to add, that's actually just a supplement, not to amend, right? To supplement the resolution adding the William M. Buzzard Park, correct?
And also the special events form.
Well, let's have it,
Should that be
That's-
separate?
do you want the special events form to apply to both parks as well?
Yeah. I mean, the rule, it would apply to both parks, although we would not try to host large special events at Shule Park.
Please have a question.
Sure.
So these rules are in place now?
We have Shule Park rules, they're the same rules, dusk to dawn.
So basically, you're just extending these rules
To
onto
William M. Buzzard Celebration Park. What we didn't have was a special events form to use that park for large events.
So just to be clear, the packet that's here, the first 2 pages are the application form for special events, and the second 2 pages are the rules and regs.
And then you've taken a look at these, the rental application and contract, and everything's good, legal, viable, everything's good to go on these things?
I mean, I haven't looked at it in depth, but I'm looking at now, I don't see anything.
I'll tell you, in creating this
Good to go.
form, I went to the Stroud Regional Park, which was the suggestion of our solicitor. And I took out a great portion of it that did not apply to us.
Yeah.
We don't have baseball fields, softballs, or swimming pools. And I switched out Delaware Water Gap for Stroud Regional. So all of the basic technical is exactly the same as our regional park.
But it's not the same as the Shoal Park.
Shoal Park will not have large special events.
Alright, so just,
But the park rules are exactly the same as Shoal Park, yes. The park rules are exactly the same. The only thing that's been added is the special events form, which the language was taken from Stroud Regional Parks.
which is the first page?
The first and second page.
First and second page, got it.
Is, a question I have, is there any downside? Let's say 18 people wanna rent Shoal Park. Because this says 15, we have 15 people or more, for a permit.
We have that for Shoal Park already.
Is there any downside to having the rental application stuff for both?
We don't have a rental thing for Shoal Park that I'm
No,
aware of.
that's my point. Is there any downside to
To
having?
having a rental
Yeah.
form for Shoal Park.
Right.
We could have a rental.
I mean,
Well, what would you want that's different for Shoal Park?
Nothing, I think he's just saying that
No.
this should
Or just
apply
have
to
one
both.
for Shoal Park. We can do the same exact thing, just put Shoal Park on top of it.
Yeah,
Or you could have the same one and just say, just have it be rental application for Borough Parks, and they choose which park they wanna.
correct.
That's fine.
So then Allison doesn't have to,
There might be something for Shell Park. I haven't had anybody ask for it,
Yeah.
but there might be something already for Shell Park.
I
would
thought
have
there
to look
was.
into that.
It wasn't
well, it makes sense if they were the same.
Okay. Okay, yes.
It doesn't make sense to have 2
No,
separate
it doesn't.
forms.
Okay, I just.
And if we have one where they can just check off which park they're applying for, that makes your life easier, cause you
Yeah.
just have to give them a form and you don't have to think about which form you're giving.
Perfect.
I think there is.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need a motion, Deb, for that, or what?
Yeah, and I can prepare the resolution for next month's meeting.
Just so I'm clear, so if you're having an event with 14 or less people, you don't need a permit. You don't need to do anything. You just have to follow park rules.
14 or less people.
Yeah, 'cause this says 15 or more.
Yes.
So 14 or less,
14 is people in the park.
you don't need a permit.
No, but they still have to follow park rules.
Right. Got it. Alright, and you said the rules are good, you looked at them, they're.
Yeah, the rules are the same,
they're sound.
same, and I don't have a problem with what's in the renter acknowledgements. It seems pretty standard.
Alright, so let's clean up the motion, and then, does anybody else have any questions on this? No? Okay, so let's clean up this motion.
I'll make that motion.
So it's a motion for a resolution to adopt the rental application and contract and the park rules and regulations for both the William M. Buzzard Celebration Park and for Shoal Park.
Correct.
You make it?
Yeah, what, you wanna make it?
No, you make it, I'll second.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I thought you were changing the resolution.
I am, it's just saying to adopt a resolution to have these to,
A new resolution.
we'll just do a new resolution, say
Okay.
these are the park rules for
That's
both parks, and this is the application, rental application for both parks, and it'll make it just
Simple.
clean.
Got it, got it. All right,
Make
so,
that motion.
so you're saying, so now it's gonna. the
So
other-
I'll put together the resolution for April's meeting, is that okay?
Thank you.
Yes, and then, so the other resolution's gonna, this is gonna supersede it.
Yes, we'll do, and I can say that in it, that supersedes, yes,
One
Allison.
resolution for all? Or there's gonna be two resolutions?
There probably will be two resolutions, one adopting the park rules and one adopting the application, so if we change something at one point in time, we're only changing one resolution and not both.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, so now Lisa, you'll make the motion, Jack, you're gonna second the motion?
I made the motion, Lisa's gonna second.
Okay, good. All right, Jack makes the motion, and I don't exactly know what the motion is. Allison, you sure you have the language on the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, any further discussion on it? All right, all those in favor of whatever that motion is, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, discuss move Borough Hall on the Borough Hall generator. It's still available, as far as I know. We still looking into grants?
I haven't been able to find any that meet the grant amount. I found grants that, you know, minimum grant amount is much higher than what you need. So the only one that is coming up is the LSA grant, that opens in July. And you're looking at award probably January, February of 2024.
And what was do you have an idea what the cost of the generator would be?
We had an estimate, was it 9,000?
It was 9.
Yeah, I think it was 9. I think it was 9.
But the question was brought up about a transfer switch, an automatic transfer
Yeah, we still
switch.
have that.
Yeah, it comes with a transfer switch.
It does, automatic, okay.
Yes.
And the LSA is how much matching?
There is no match.
There is no match
There
on
is
that?
no required match, but it's always suggested that you get one. They like to see that.
All right, so you guys wanna table this? What do you wanna do with this?
I think maybe we ought to consider tabling it, because in addition to the generator, the LSA, just to go for the amount for the generator, when the electrical system needs to be overhauled in this building. and
Maybe that should be incorporated.
That's my point.
You
I
wanna
think
do the big picture?
let's do the big picture, let's not minimize the potential for the grant when we need all the work.
And I think that the generator we have outside functions, right, Harry?
Yeah, it does function.
It functions, it just smokes a lot
Leaks
and it leaks a lot, yeah, all right, so it's.
And the wires from that are smaller than the wires that are in the building,
Yeah.
which is kinda dangerous.
Don't stay.
Say it.
All right, so we'll table that.
Yeah, let's go for the big picture.
Cherry Valley Road Waterline Project, anything you wanna mention to that?
No.
No updates, this he covered it, follow up on the grant search for new home, you just talked about that. Appointed police advisory, that's gonna be tabled, update on SOPs.
No update.
No updates. Alright, committee reports.
Yes, the, Special Projects Committee, which works along with, actually, the EDC, and Allison has done pretty much all of the work, and Terry helped clean it up because I was out of town. We applied for a grant with the Pocono Visitors Bureau beautification, and the idea of that was to help support the business owners by getting a kiosk to be placed near the trail so that we can put business owner information and local service information there. So, Allison worked up this grant that will include the kiosk, a park bench, and a trash receptacle.
And a bike rack.
And a bike rack, thank you. The total of the whole project, including installation by Chris, and all the materials
Yep,
that they
concrete.
worked together to get on what the installation would be, the entire grant request, the entire grant would be $4,488, and the matching is 50%. So it would be, we're asking for $2,244. So that's, that application was applied for last week, and we should hear something by April. It's a quick turnaround for that one. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Anybody else on any other committee?
Yeah, roads, buildings, maintenance, we met really briefly with, Missy just to, get on the same page, before the meeting. We still have some outstanding projects. The Gulf Station inlet has been surveyed. Are you working on permits or?
Well, we are working on permits. The question is whether we have as-built survey of the ramps.
Yes.
If not, we'll have to go back out.
So the
We're
sidewalk
looking into that.
on either side of that,
Yep.
we're gonna have to address ADA issues there. We have 3 other kind of outstanding things, and we are going to prioritize 2 of them this year. An inlet at 76 Main Street, the box has begun to collapse, and that will need resurveyed and involve permitting. And the Church of the Mountain inlet needs to be redesigned, and that will include surveying and permitting with PennDOT. So we'll probably have a motion for that on the next monthly meeting agenda. I want to focus on the electrical project downstairs. Marty had offered to help with some of the planning of that, and I don't know, Marty, if you can be at the next roads committee meeting, we can talk about that and get that going again, because that didn't happen last year. And we have a bunch of roads that need to be resurfaced and have bad parts cut out and dealt with this year. Also on roads, Larry asked to share a message he got from PennDOT about 611 earlier last week. He asked PennDOT for an update, and on Monday, so this is a week old at this point, Ron Young got back to him. Mayor Freshcorn, PennDOT has shared the Route 611 rock slope plans with the National Park Service. PennDOT staff will be meeting with the NPS next week, that will be this week, to hopefully receive NPS approval. When the NPS approval is obtained, PennDOT will inform you, and will also inform you when any work schedules become available. So that's where we are with the 611 closure.
When you're talking about the electrical downstairs, are you talking about the whole wiring? So we all need to, I need to put it on my calendar, make sure, because I'd like to hear what you guys are talking about with the wiring, because we're also talking about the finance, and if we go for a grant, the matching, and what that would all look like, and when that would be needed, if we got it, so. I'd like to make sure I attend.
Absolutely. That's, I think, it for roads.
Roads meeting?
We're gonna have a roads meeting, obviously, yeah. They're still looking at October at the long shot to open up 611, is that still the consensus?
I'd say it's a long shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it for that. Anybody else, committee report? I went to the COG meeting, last Monday, and we talked about salt. And they had bids for salt, and I think they're going to re-explore it at the next COG meeting, because the lowest bid came from a company that we had never dealt with before, so. They also spoke about the, Act 167, stormwater management ordinance, which we've discussed, and, that was all the COG fund. That's it. Any other, committee reports?
Yeah, I just have a suggestion, I don't know how we do this, but, whether an appointment or not, but I think it would be a good idea to have Allison formally part of the, budget committee.
She is.
No, she's not.
What do you mean, former, you mean, right up?
As a member, like Carrie is a member of the roads committee. I think Allison, because she deals with all the bills, she knows what comes in and out, who better to be formally part of the budget committee? I know you work hand in hand with her, but I think it would be a good idea.
Okay, we hadn't formalized it on paper, but she is.
She comes to meetings.
Well, if it's
She is-
necessary,
she
she's
should be
appropriate.
forward.
Who is it right now? It's,
Budget is Lisa, Bill, and Derek, I think.
alright, so Allison, are you okay with that?
Okay.
Okay, so now it's Lisa, Bill, Derek, and Allison.
Not on paper, but we were doing it.
Yeah.
Alright.
On paper.
Well, we're talking committees, Terry.
Yeah,
we
we
have-
have,
So Allison, you're appointed to the budget committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
we have, two new members of the Economic Development Committee, Sue Cooper and Eileen Noel have, signed on.
Alright, so Sue Cooper and Eileen Noel are appointed to the, Economic Development Committee, EDC. Alright. Anything else? Anybody else? And so it's the four of you now, right? Or is it just the four of you?
Well, it's
And Lauren.
Lauren.
Oh, so it's five.
Yeah.
Alright. You have that for like a roster, Allison?
I'll make sure it gets updated and everything, yes.
And
Has anyone heard, actually, this is proper, has anyone heard, any activity with Adams Outdoor and the committee that's trying to
Yes.
promote?
actually, we heard back from them as far as, they had some ideas as far as, postings, and we have given them some ideas, and so we now have, I believe Eileen is, working on some designs, as is Lauren, and we will get back to them, we have a meeting on Thursday, so we will discuss what to respond back,
Thank you.
so that's coming along.
To Thursday committee meeting?
Yeah, on Thursday at 10 a.m.
Anything else from that committee? Anything else?
Yeah, actually, Blue Flame, Kim from Blue Flame has, gotten back to Lauren and, is going to send a response for the stipulations that, we had agreed upon in the meeting. And, so she will provide the information needed. Though, April and May events may not, be happening because she got other scheduling. As far as the, planned events that were in the original presentation, April is probably not gonna happen, may or may not right now. But, it would still include, after that.
Okay. Alright, you'll keep us posted. Alright, is that it for committee reports and committee stuff? Alright, public comments on issues and or concerns not related to the agenda.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Just
Hi, my
say your
name
name
is-
so Allison can get it down, please.
I'm sorry?
You just state your name so Allison can.
Yeah, Sandy Hull, Hull, and I'll give you a copy of my statement. I live in Layton, New Jersey, up the river a piece. As you all may know, the New Jersey and Pennsylvania chapters of the Sierra Club have issued a proposal to change the designation of the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area to a national park and preserve. The proposal is being presented to various groups by John Donahue, former superintendent of the recreation area and author of the proposal, in hopes of gathering support for the project. The proposal offers no information on the national park, no information on the location and curating of the Lenape Educational Center. The local Lenape Nation does not support the center or the designation change. No information on plans for infrastructure improvements such as bathrooms and parking lots. No information on funding. I will say that a lot of the problems that are rooted in our current situation are based on funding for the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area. And I had a meeting with Superintendent Sapp, last week. We talked about how our group, the Delaware Water Gap Defense Fund, can work with the National Park Service to get more funding for the area. There's no information on the visitation mitigation, no information on the potential change in the boundaries of the park, and the list just goes on, and you'll see that in the proposal. Sussex and Warren counties, as well as several municipalities in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, have passed resolutions opposing the proposal until details such as environmental, agricultural, and economic impact statements and other requested information are available for public review and comment. And I'd just like to interject that when Mr. Donahue gave a presentation here in your borough, I asked him in front of everybody at the meeting for an for an environmental impact statement. And he said, we're not the federal government, we don't have to do that, but he does run an environmental consulting company. Congressman Gottheimer in New Jersey, Congressman Tom King, Senator Borough, Assemblyman Space and Worth in New Jersey are in opposition. Congressman Cartwright of Pennsylvania is in opposition. We also have on our team opposing this proposal Lisa Baker, Tara Probst, and Joe Adams. I will be meeting with Representative Maureen Madden this week and Rosemary Brown next week. Since February of last year, over 4,200 people have joined our Facebook page to receive and share information. Our website, knonationalpark.org, has hundreds of hits every week. The Sierra Club's proposal has not changed, while the overwhelming increase in opposition has grown significantly. And in August of last year, the New Jersey chapter of the Sierra Club withdrew their support. I have copies of the proposal and other information for each of the council members, and I hope you will read the material and consider passing a resolution in opposition of this proposed change, and I thank you for your time and consideration. And who gets all the paperwork?
Allison.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. We'll take a look at it.
Anybody have questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Matt Courtwright, is he pro or con or what?
Congressman Cartwright came to me at Milford Days last year. He sought me out at our table, and he shook my hand, gave me a kiss on the cheek, no kidding, and he said, "I'm with you guys 100%. So he strongly opposes this proposal by the national, to change the designation of the recreation area.
He'd like to stay where it is.
Yes, sir, he would.
What is the driving force for this? Has there been a big advantage that's been kind of laid out that is pushing this change?
When you look at this proposal, they're gonna talk about the increase in potential funding for the park, because understand there's also gonna be a great economic benefit if becomes a national park as opposed to a recreation area. The National Park Conservation Association recently contracted with John Stover Associates in Washington, D.C. to do an economic impact survey. And what they did was look at the amount of tourism dollars generated in towns like yours by people who come through. And what they're saying that all these numbers will stay here because it's a recreation area. Mr. Donahue implies that if you get a national park designation, those numbers are going to increase. I called John Stover Associates, and I also spoke with the head of the NPCA. That's not the case at all. There's no guarantee. And what you're gonna see in this proposal are a lot of ifs, ands, or buts, a lot of possibilities. And I'm often accused of saying, you're looking at the worst case scenario. And I say, yes, I am, because after the Tox Island Dam debacle, I look at every worst case scenario so we don't run into eminent domain and false representation and promises by the government.
And your concern about this being changed to a national park is what? I know what.
My concern is that we're gonna end up being overrun with more tourism than we can handle. The impact on our infrastructure. I live in Standyston, which is like basically 70% state and federally owned right now. The impact on our infrastructure is gonna be immense. If you picture 7,000 cars right now go across the Davis Ferry Bridge every day, you could pretty much triple that if this becomes a national park. And also in the proposal, since I've heard your discussion this morning about your volunteer fire department, in this proposal, Mr. Donahue talks about New River Gorge, West Virginia, and how the wonderful economic benefit to New River Gorge when it was changed from a recreation area to a national park. I called the mayor of New River Gorge and I spoke to her. She told me, don't let this happen to you. Their infrastructure has deteriorated to the part they can't even accommodate their own road system. Their emergency services personnel have to do their own fundraisers just to raise money for backboards and some of the equipment that the fire and rescue teams need. So for all the kind of promised benefits to this national park, there's no proof. We have asked for information. I have called the Sierra Club, I've emailed the Sierra Club in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Somebody said they must have your number on speed dial because they don't want to talk to me. And we cannot get any information from them at all as to the impact if that designation is changed. Why Mr. Donahue is pushing this, that's the key question. He was the park superintendent here. Why he wants this into a national park. Personally, I think it's just a suspender snapping deal for him.
So what your position is, just the fact that it would be redesignated as a national park, that in itself would drive up the volume of traffic coming through?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Also, if you're aware of the project going up in Barryville, New York, it's called FIMPO. Fun is more fun outdoors, and they want to take part of the Kitty Kitty Canoe business up there and turn it into this huge recreational area with campers and RVs. And so our thought is that if you couple that traffic, that impact up there on the upper scenic Delaware, and put that with the truck traffic that could be happening if they put the warehouse in Milford, Pennsylvania, for all the truck traffic, we're gonna have a nightmare on our hands.
Thank you.
Well, yes, sir.
You brought up New River Gorge, and that's a really good comparison because it's a similar in the amount of acreage, it's similar in the mountainous terrain.
Yes, sir.
Similar in the very limited infrastructure on both sides of the river. And I've read a few things on that, and that they were basically, they couldn't handle the infrastructure as it was, and they were just totally overrun where they could barely move around.
Yeah, they have 7 residents left in New River Gorge right now. And I'm also gonna say, while we're talking about this, is that, you know, if you go to our website, it's in that proposal, there's a clip there of a gentleman named Don Miles, and he's working with Mr. Donahue on this. Mr. Miles says that, yeah, we're looking at a 270,000 acre square park. That's not what this proposal is based on, it's based on the existing area. There's a thought that there may be an annexation of Stoke State Forest, High Point State Park, Worthington, possibly the Delaware State Forest over on this side. I don't know where they're gonna get the extra 200,000 acres to make up what they're talking about. So if I look at the existing map of our area and what they have portioned off for the Lenape Preserve, which will be the hunting area, and the national park, which won't have any, I think that the threat of eminent domain is a real one, and nobody wants to deal with that again, ever. Anybody else?
Thank you. You had a question?
Not
Anybody else?
Eminent domain, because I was here about the tax island that you said debacle, which is right. You know, eminent domain, they can take our property or property around the area and for a fraction of the cost.
I fought the Tox Island Dam tooth and nail. I think you all know who Nancy Shakaitis is.
Oh, sure.
Okay, Nancy Shakaitis, she and I and a woman named Minna Hamilton, at that time, went to Washington, we fought the Tox Island Dam, and we beat it. And so, I have a personal stake in this, is that, the house that I had at the time is still within the park area. But now I live 2 miles from the park, right in Layton, which is right across from the Dingus Ferry Bridge. I don't wanna have to go through that threat again. I don't wanna have to deal with, you know, eminent domain and the horrors that go with it, so.
Buy her book, I think it's still on Amazon, she gave me a copy.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you do as well. We'll
Thank
take a
you.
look at the proposal.
I appreciate that, thank you.
All right, any other comments, issues, concerns, unrelated? Did Eric?
With the budget, I would ask that the fire department be notified when you have your budget meeting again this year, and have our president, myself, and our treasurers attend. I don't know if we ever have, or personally, I've never paid attention to when they are, but if we could get notified of when they are, and we can avoid some of this.
Do you want to attend the budget meeting, or you wanted to have the meeting that?
With the budget
specifically for your-
committee about budgets and.
Specifically about the situation you were talking about,
No.
bringing,
In general. In
So
general.
October,
I mean,
November.
I know other townships, other departments do it with their township and their borough to avoid some of this issues.
So we have a special meeting, right?
you're talking about, that's what I was asking.
Or
Special
No, I
meeting.
think
No, when we have the special meeting. where
No,
for
no,
the
when you
budget.
have your regular meeting,
Yeah, no,
we
he was, I think he's talking about, because you commented how you canvassed everyone and made sure we knew what needed to be in the
Right.
budget,
Oh, so
that
you're
they're
talking
being
about the
involved in
October
this
budget.
conversation.
Right.
The October budget,
so
yes.
the fire committee can attend and,
Oh, definitely.
okay.
The regular budget committee meetings are the fourth Tuesday of every
Thank you.
month at 2 p.m. The fourth Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. They're not always held, it depends on
Right.
whether or not they hold it, so.
But you're talking about definitely being present when we're talking about the next budget, yes, most definitely.
Yeah, that's open to 20 after one, let you know.
Continue to meet on the issue that we have now.
But that's gonna be in addition to trying to work something out for you guys with this
Right,
equipment
I'll be at your next
at the
work
next
session.
budget committee,
So.
at the work session. And Jim, or,
I will try to get Jim, but I have the answers, but
yeah,
tonight.
he called me, he said he would email me some things, but if you can get him to come, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
All right, anybody else, comments, Mark?
I just wanted to mention that, at the last work session, we did talk about the air tax issue, and it didn't get off the rails. It went pretty good, and there was a lot of good discussion about it, whereas this one got off the rails. Basically, you know, I was looking forward, I was planning on some grandstanding, and you didn't disappoint, Jamie. But but, I mean, it's typically too, the chairman opens the floor for motions, or for anybody else to make a motion. It's rare for the chairman to make the motion, which she did. Maybe he knew everybody else was gonna go against it. But, I think one of the other things, though, too, though, is the fact that you would actually suggest that another fire company, would sell air packs that were, you name it, you call them trash and everything else. I mean, that's kinda.
All right, Marty, that was on the agenda, so you wanna talk about something else off the agenda? Then we're open for that, but that's agenda.
Doesn't matter, I said it, that's all I wanted to do.
Got it. Anybody else?
Do we have an executive session tonight?
We do not.
Then I'd like to bring up, and you can choose whether to go to an executive session or not, some information regarding our schoolhouse / museum. We own a building and it needs discussion.
We can have an executive session, there's a possible discussion regarding whether there's a lease negotiation or something like that, which I think is appropriate for executive session.
Then I would hope we could schedule one now for now.
Then let's do that, but, all right, let's see, Tim, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanna give kudos to, Lisa for running the work session last month. I think she did a great job.
Well, the participation was great last month,
It was great.
and we did a lot of brainstorming, and I think everybody provided good suggestions and worked together with it.
No, just to piggyback on Tim, the reason everything went well, just as it did when Zach ran the meeting, is because we were allowed to speak in real time while you were discussing an issue, as opposed to being silenced as we usually are. So we were able to exchange ideas and get some other alternatives.
Anybody else? Comments, questions, concerns, issues, anybody, going once?
I have a PSA if everybody's, Howard, you have something?
I just wanna thank you for everything. All of you are doing a great job, all of you, thank you.
Thank you, Howard. All right.
And to you.
And so are you.
Yeah, thanks, Howard.
And so is the fire company.
These guys, not me.
Thanks, guys.
I wanna thank the fire company for all the time and effort they put in. You know, we should never lose sight of the fact that 3 o'clock in the morning, when the siren goes off, these guys and gals put their lives on the line to protect all of us. So they should get our support whatever we possibly, within our means.
We do have a fundraiser going on right now. I don't know how many of you are on follow the Facebook page, but the t-shirts and tumblers are for sale. They were screen printed, and that is one of the fundraisers we have right now, and I don't think anyone in town has bought one. Maybe,
No,
I can't speak for everyone, but
I'll be down for a dozen.
yeah, they're for sale. They've been all over the page, they've been promoting it, and, I mean, we do a lot of fundraising, so they're there.
I'm not on Facebook.
No, yeah, oh, well, yeah,
So,
you did on Facebook.
I always buy your shirts and t-shirts, you
Yeah,
know that, but
they're
I'm not on
brand new,
Facebook,
they
so
were
I wasn't aware
designed,
of it.
screen printed, and they're at the firehouse, all the way down to kid sizes.
And I just wanna say to the public, you're invited to their business meeting the second Monday of every
Second
month.
Monday of the month from the beginning,
You know,
yes.
so if you're concerned about their budget or their needs, everybody's here more than welcome.
Maybe we can do something too, so that we promote the fundraising efforts on the Borough website. That might get more traffic and help them.
Allison also sent out something about the newsletter that's coming out to submit information for the newsletter, which goes in everybody's bill. So.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I can forward that to Howard.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't do that?
I said, let's get the
Oh,
fundraiser.
yeah.
Whoever wants to.
Jess or Lori or whoever wants to just touch base with Allison about trying to promote it on the website, on our website, if we can, or maybe you can link them up with the whoever runs it, so that they can do something so that, maybe a link to the fire department, so this way we can get more traffic.
Newsletter.
The newsletter,
Yeah, the
definitely.
newsletter, Allison.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
There was somebody that wanted to ask a question, who's, on Zoom, Jamie, Courtney Road, wants to ask a question.
Okay,
There
Courtney.
she is.
Open that can of worms.
Hello?
Yes, Courtney.
Can we, see about fixing the signs up here on 611? A tractor trailer took down the stop sign, speed limit sign, and the U-turn sign.
Which end of 611?
Directly in front of my parents' house.
I'm sorry, I don't know where your parents live.
At the top of the hill.
Right where you come out.
Up at Mart's, okay.
Chris is like, oh, man.
On the.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, Chris, you'll look at it.
I'm sorry, so what is it now? Stop sign, yield sign, and every sign?
The And they took down the one way.
And the one way.
611 by past the firehouse. Okay, I'll
All
take
right,
care of
Courtney.
it.
Our
Superintendent's gonna look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else out there raising their hand or wanting to say something? All right, anybody else?
Well, I just something quick, it's not related to this, but, there was a stabbing on 7th and Main just a little while ago, so anyone going that way, they'll be rerouting traffic. So
I think it's
just
cleared
look
up
for
now.
that. Is it cleared now?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
thought it was cleared up.
My PSA is Saturday, April 1st from 3 to 7 is a town-wide makers market. We're trying to get people to come into the community and spend money and visit our businesses with the closure of Route 611. SVPA, Level Stages, is kind of spearheading the organization of this. It's gonna be craft-type vendors at 6 or 7 as of now, different businesses and locations participating. The theater at SVPA, Asparagus Sunshine, the shop that just opened around the corner that was in my head earlier, but now it's blanking on me. The Coven, the Fire Hall has been generous enough to open their doors to vendors and their grounds.
Good for all.
Good for all, thank you. Good for all, which everybody should check out, new business on Waring. So there'll be vendors at each location, selling their stuff, or putting an ad in a Slate Belt circular to try to, get people here into town to check that out.
What time is it again?
From 3 to 7.
3 to 7, that's what I.
Saturday, April 1st.
Okay, got it.
Sango is gonna probably host somebody or a couple vendors.
So can we put that on our website in the newsletter?
So,
Allison,
The
can you put something together to get to Susan for the newsletter in the paper?
If it's gonna be over by, it's gonna be over by the newsletter.
Okay,
Yeah, the newsletter doesn't go out to the end of.
all right, at least on our
If someone
website.
wants to send me the details, I can put it on the website.
We'll put posters in business windows.
I think 96.7 does a thing called Poconos.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get it on
I know who's
13.
in charge over there.
Yeah, I could give you.
We get some radio
Terry
stations.
Price.
Okay.
She runs the radio station.
We have enough on our side.
Okay.
And they do free ads.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanna get we're 13 on a story.
Anybody else?
March 12th from 1 to 3, we're gonna have what's called war dogs, Terry? The war dog ceremony at the cemetery, where they're actually gonna bring some dogs that were involved in wars, and I'm sure there's gonna be some soldiers there as well, right?
Sunday.
It's a Sunday, it's from 1 to 3 at the cemetery.
And it's
And
a
that
second
goes on the
annual, and
website
it's
for
a salute
everyone.
to those dogs that served in wars and served in our military.
What time is that?
All right, anything
1
else?
to 3.
Saturday?
The Sunday,
All right,
12th.
we're gonna, a motion to adjourn to executive session? We're gonna be in executive session and we'll call people back in if they wanna come back in after executive.
There's not gonna be any motion after executive.
No motion.
I'm on the Facebook page, I don't see anything about the tumblers or the.
So who